Welcome everybody to a new episode of Flower Circus Talks, episode 92 already. And two times we already had Alison Bradley, and I wanted to invite her again because something special happened. The last episode or the last magazine of Fusion Flowers is there now. So I want to talk with Alison about the great moments that she had with her magazine. So let's quickly get her into the live stream. We've been trying to connect already for 2 hours, so hopefully she didn't touch anything on her computer because it works now. So let's quickly get her in before she disappears again.
Oh my word, yeah. Oh, I'm here.
Yeah, welcome.
Oh, that was fun. Never again. It's the last time when you say come and meet me in my bedroom. I'm ever going to agree to do that, John. That's the end of it.
Yeah. But it took a while and it was hot in the end.
Oh yeah, it was a big build up, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Hello, John.
Hello, Alison. So, first of all, really happy that you're here. I mean, a lot of things have been going on and a lot of reactions I think you received over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean,
It's been something else.
an end of an era. I mean, 121 magazines, just the Fusion Flowers alone. Over 20 years
Yeah.
working together with a great team. I mean, can't be anything else than that, working such a long period. And also working with your husband for 20 years. That's quite an achievement as well. Oh, we can't mention him, or can
Yeah.
we?
No, well, he's referred to. I have this thing when I first started Fusion. There was always this thing at the back called brain floss, and I think a lot of people misunderstood what brain floss was about. But because I've been a demonstrator and a designer for many years, I was aware that people, um, number one, view us as having a glamorous lifestyle, if only. Um, but number two, they also see you as perhaps slightly up yourself, a bit snobbish or whatever. And so Brain Floss was started to say, look, I'm just the same as everybody else. Hi, Tanya. Just Tanya's from Malta. She's one of our readers. Oh, there's
Okay.
Darren Keith. Oh, God, this is going to be a problem, isn't it? I mustn't focus on the people coming in. Um, so yeah, so brain floss was to explain that I'm the same as everybody else. It's just I have maybe a bigger perspective on things. And as sure as little green apples, things go wrong, as you now know, John.
Yeah. Sometimes it's
And it's
hard
just
to get people in, and you ask them a couple of times, but sometimes people agree, and then it's hard to get them online as well.
so I think it should work. But anyway, so that's how brain floss started, and it became a staple. It's quite interesting because you never know how people read the magazine. It's and quite a few people started with today's talk should be a lot of fun. You damn right.
Yeah.
Hi Jimmy. Hi Anne. It's going to be a bit of a problem because I know too many people. Yeah,
Yeah.
but the actual aim, the original aim was it was a magazine that was supposedly dedicated to the UK.
Yeah.
But within a few months, it became evident that this was going to be something quite different. So, at the peak of our whatever, we were out to 80 plus countries.
Unbelievable.
And I know, how unbelievable is that? And so I got this letter from someone because in those days, the internet wasn't that great. So the very first issue of the magazine, I'd invited a South African demonstrator or designer to do a piece. So her text came through no problem,
Yeah.
but the photographs in those days, that was a big problem. Plus, the photographs had all to be developed, so it wasn't like this instant photography now. And anyway, as is notorious with South African mail, they never arrived. So I had to try and recreate this woman's design from the text. She didn't speak to me for about 2 years. So those were the fun moments. But I mean, the original aim was, you probably, now that you're involved with more and more designers yourself, you'll probably be aware that a lot of the big names are big names because they're very good at promoting themselves. And yet there are people out there with genuine talent who have maybe never had the chance to get onto a platform or be recognized. And in fact, quite a lot of the big talents that are out there have maybe not developed the techniques. It's others who've developed the techniques, but they're great at presenting them. So it was to try and give people an opportunity to be seen elsewhere. And hi Helen, it's been amazing. It's just amazing. We've managed to change people's lives. But the first letter I got that really brought me up short was from Kathmandu, John. I got a letter from Kathmandu. Wow. And this person was shooting a magazine. So then we got another one from South Africa, and the lady described how the magazine arrived. You and I think, okay, comes through the letterbox, that's kind of it. But no, it went to a central area and a holding box. And then she had a runner run from the post office box to deliver her magazine to her house. And she's at the tip of Cape Town. I mean, so this is a wee woman in Scotland. Can you try and imagine that? It was hard to understand. So then, so we launched. We took a lot of advice to begin with from a very close friend who used to work in an organization called Time Warner, and before that, HarperCollins publishing houses. I have to say it was quite a drunken encounter. We were at a party. And
that never happens.
No, me party animal. No. So then the next go off was he gave me his advice, and he said there's 3 ways of doing this. So I chose one of the routes. He said, but you are in a position to do a lot of market research yourself, and I'm a great one for market research. So we did 2 years of market research before we launched.
Yeah.
And when we launched, we had been doing newsletters, and I said, we're going to start a magazine. So this is going to be the price. And then amazingly, money arrived in the mail. So we've never been to a bank. We've never had a bank loan. We've never done any of that stuff, which is why I've ended up lecturing to professional journalists and professional publishing houses as to an alternative way. Yeah, there you go. Hi, Carrie. Reaching the parts that other magazines don't reach. A bit like you, darling.
Yeah. So there were 2 parts that other people didn't reach.
The 2 parts they didn't reach. So we've been hugely successful in that. And in fact, in the last issue, 2 people asked if they could write articles, and Sue, our sub-editor, said when we were doing the proof for it, she said, how are you coping with this? Are you not in tears? And I said, no, because I've made a decision. And it's the right decision, and you have to go with it. We had 2 offers to buy Fusion, and as Steve, our friend from way back, said, this could happen. But they wanted me to go with it, but they would be in charge of it. And then that means you lose something. I'm not a control freak, but I do like to be in control of things. So it was, can we add this and can we do that? Yeah, Fusion's never been led by advertising. So it would change if it went elsewhere.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And I kind of felt that we'd let our readers down. So I'm very protective of the readers. Well, okay. It's been something else.
Yeah, but I mean, it's great with the magazine, a Florist magazine, but you weren't really into the old-fashioned journalist way of doing things.
No, not really. It's I've been told that
Oh,
Fusion is very honest. Is
before,
that your neighbor knocking at the door again?
yeah, but before you continue, Yolanda is saying, "Hi there, just watching part until the girls are ready." So I think we can talk for 2 hours because before the girls are ready, I think we have 2 hours.
Is she on holiday? I might have known it. Yeah.
Yeah,
She'll be going for cocktails. Very naughty, Miss Yolanda, my darling. So yeah, it's been recognizing talent has been one of my fortes. I'm actually highly regarded for that. So I'm a real good talent spotter. Actually, I spotted one of the hi Yolcom. I spotted Miss Tiffany as well, who's of course Yolanda's daughter.
yeah,
And uh, it was funny because Yolanda and Marcel said, "Oh, we think she's too young. We think she's this." I said, "No, you don't understand. She comes and she stands and she watches everything that's going on with the other designers. She offers to help.
yeah,
She's shy. Tiff's she's getting more confidence now, thankfully. Um, I said, but that's something I like to see. Someone wants to learn. Someone's hungry for information. But we just need to send her somewhere to polish her off. No harm to the Dutch floristry industry, but she'd really only been exposed to that. So we sent her up to Steinar Hansen in Norway.
yeah.
Frankly, you can get a bigger alternative to Dutch floristry than to sending her to the Nordic country. Actually, let me just see, Jimmy England's on from Sweden and Joachim, who's his partner, who's the photographer. Jimmy was through one of our Facebook competitions. And that's how I need to see something. And then I ask them to do another competition so I can check it's not a fluke or they're not copying
Yeah.
things, do a bit of research, and that's when you take it forward. Yeah.
So yeah, Tiffany. I
Hi,
mean,
Martin.
Tiffany, we work with as well with Flower Circus. I mean, it's unbelievable how talented she is and how she comes up with new ideas. And like you said, and I really like the article as well. She went to Stein Are, and like you said, Stein Are is the opposite. He's using just a few flowers, while in Holland there's flowers enough. So when you're in doubt, just drink more wine. But as a florist, when you're in doubt, just add more flowers. That's a bit how the Dutch sometimes work because there are so many flowers around.
It's true. And also, there's accessibility. You've got access to flowers that maybe others don't have. And Steinar is a good case in point because of the import tax, etc.
Yeah,
So it's useful for people to learn more about the big world, in my opinion, and to try and break down barriers. So we've been very successful in that. Mark Pampling, who was a writer with us for like forever, and if you look at Mark's articles, uh, it's like a professor of
yeah,
floristry. It's so intense, it's so in depth. But then we also want something where anyone can have a go and make it, commercial. So it's to try and broaden the spectrum. If there's someone seriously wanting to learn, then we'll do it. Yeah, according to Gregor, he says that we're one of the few magazines that tell it the way it is and are prepared to stand up for what we believe in. And we've always been like that. But there was a case relatively early on because one of the pieces of advice I got was not to start the magazine as I wanted it to be,
okay,
because what he said was your competitors will start copying you. If you find something good, they'll copy you. He was very right about that. So, but then I discovered on a tour somewhere, I got chatting to a couple of growers actually, and then a couple of florists, and all of them were fighting cancer. And this particular florist said to me, she said, you know, people come to us to send flowers out to relatives, friends who've got cancer. And she said they're very demanding quite often, but nobody seems to think about the fact that we might have cancer, that we might be going through our own fight. And that's stuck with me. I wonder what we can do. So we produced a thing called the Pink Issue, which everything in it was dedicated to a designer or a grower who was fighting cancer or had won the fight as best you can with this. And we produced extra copies, and so the profits all went to cancer research.
Wow.
And we sold out in 2 weeks of release worldwide. We couldn't cope with the demand, so they've become collector's issues and selling for ridiculous prices on things like eBay. I mean, what's that about?
Yeah. But yeah, how cool is that? I mean, if you have an idea, you make the magazine, and yeah, seeing it going as a collector's item, how wonderful is that? I mean, and also all
It's
you got all the wedding issues as well there, which are real collector's items.
yeah, they are. Many of the earlier ones. I think we started in 2005 with that, and the very first issue. Here you go. This is 2006-7. Okay.
Yep.
So 2006, a bride with a black dress, really? And using receding color flowers.
Yeah.
Really? So we got it in the teeth, and that design is by a darling designer called Joni Seppänen from Finland, master florist, gifted teacher, and he was the obvious person to go to for that edition, to say, I want you to stop people in their tracks, because the idea is to inspire, with weddings, was to inspire florists to try something else. They were capable of it, but could they sell it as well? So that's what the collections were about. And we were told that in certain cases with weddings, we were like running 2 years in advance of the trends that were then announced later. It's quite interesting.
I mean, that's really great. You have to push people a little bit over the edge sometimes, just to go with something new as well. And you really did it there.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think you've got a photograph of the next issue, which is the exact opposite. So you go to the Far East and you say, okay, let's look at it. And so that's someone maximizing on profitability, believe it or not. And it seems like a hugely lengthy process, but actually it's a seriously commercial bouquet. The trick with these is you have to have a very, very confident bride being able to carry them, not, brides think they are. And at the end of the day, why would you spend X thousand on a beautiful dress and then want to have the same bouquet as everybody else?
Yeah.
So this about opening people's minds to actually interviewing brides properly. These days, it's become very difficult. And the flower world will definitely, hi Martina, it will definitely change. There's no question about that.
I think your magazine helped as well with something that when you talk to a lot of florists, they say, yeah, but they never come into my shop to order a wedding bouquet like that. Then I asked some people, like, did you want an iPad 20 years ago? And they said, no, because there wasn't any. I said, yeah, but if you never show a wedding bouquet like this, you will never sell it as well.
Exactly. We had fairly early on, we had a few controversial ones, and there was this lady, I think we've talked about this before, can't quite remember, but she was the most negative florist I've ever heard. I mean, how she sold anything, I don't know. Because if you said black, she said white. If you said grey, she said orange. It was just unbelievable. And a good chum of mine, and actually a Caroline's, Joe Reed, who was the go-to person for Flower Council of Holland in the UK. He turned up late one day at actually a trade show that Carrie's brother used to run. And Joe was never late. He was never late. But he was 2 hours late. And I was about to send an ambulance to his hotel, I was convinced he was dead. And it turned out he'd been sitting beside Mrs. Gray as opposed to Orange the night before a dinner. And he had tried to find a level of conversation with this woman where there could be a positivity, because Joe was still is a very positive person. And he said, well, look at this table arrangement, for example. I bet you could this will go down well with you. And it was a glass vase. And I know the designer who'd done them, and it had just got spray carnations in it. He said, it looks lovely, and she turned and said, no, that wouldn't do well for my customers. And he said, why not? She said, there's no flat surfaces in Cornwall. What the hell does that mean? And she was saying she couldn't do a marquee wedding because the floor isn't flat enough for you to put a tall glass vase on the table. So I took her up on it because I was so amazed at him. He'd been so much. All this energy had gone out of Joe. So I said, okay. So I phoned her. Oh, hello, Alison. I said, okay. You say that your customers would never go for this, right? She said, yeah. I said, okay, I'll do a deal with you. You will send me photographs, line drawings of your shop front, your window. I need photographs outside the building for your location, and I will design your shop front window for you. Hi, Solomon, kisses. And then I know a few people, by the way, you'll get that. Yeah. Anyway, and then I said, and I'll supply free of charge all the material. I'll detail how to do it. Just put it in the window for 1 week. That's all I ask. So she did. She put it in. And an hour after opening, she phoned me to say, I have tiff, big cuds, darling.
Looks like they're ready.
So they're having a good time out there. They're very naughty people. So, and she said, I've got a queue outside. Hi, Peter, how you doing? She had a queue outside her door. And I said, look, you just have to show people you can do something different. You cannot assume that you know what your customers want. You're only offering them one direction. And more with floristry, you have to become more entrepreneurial. If you don't, you won't survive. You definitely won't. And definitely, one of the articles that Steinara actually wrote this article, and he was sharing his version of the way ahead. So as you were saying, the Dutch are kind of spoiled for volume of flowers, quality and quantity. But it's not that easy these days. Since the COVID has struck, things are not that easy. And it wasn't easy for the magazine either. We had one reader who it took 8 months for a magazine to get to.
Only 8 months.
So, and I take these things very personally. Shouldn't, but I do. So it's just been interesting. And we then decided we would start the International Designer of the Year competition.
Yeah.
To see if that we could bring people to the fore that way, and that proved to be mind-blowing, some of the talent we've discovered. Isa from Poland said that she'd seen the magazine somewhere, and that was her ambition, was to enter the competition. The same with Robert Bartolin from Slovakia, who did the front cover for the last issue.
Yeah.
His work is just, the guy's, and he's just an utter darling. And we eventually did meet, and he said, how come? And I said, how come? Because I'm a designer, Sue's a designer. We understand how much work it takes to do what you've done, and we respect that always, I hope.
It's unbelievable how
So
many new designers you found also with the competitions and things like that. And to
yeah,
give them a platform as well. And yeah, it worked both ways in the end. I mean, you were happy to find new designers, and they were really happy and honored to get to the platform of Fusion Flowers.
it's just that, yeah, because we discovered like Jimmy there. Jimmy, we discovered through our social media competitions. Um, and that started, this is a weird one. Um, you know, the supermarket competition with florists, florists cannot compete on price.
No.
They just can't. And it was coming up Mother's Day in the UK, and UK Mother's Day runs at a different time of year to the rest of the planet, for goodness sake.
And it changes every year
And
like Easter, so that's makes it even easier.
I know. Hello, crystal ball. When's it going to be this time? So, and we were hearing from growers, they were nervous. Everybody was frightened about this. And so I thought, okay, I said, I put up on Facebook, okay, send me a photograph of your best bouquet you're going to do for Mother's Day, the one that you really like. And I will post on our Facebook page the day, your name, your website, da, 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 da. Connect you on social media, do all of that. Um, and let's see what happens. And oh, John, it was a living nightmare. I was at this desk almost 24 hours a day for 2 solid weeks.
Wow.
And I get a phone call from the Professional Publishers Association to say, what are you doing on social media? I said, well, hi, David. This is David Dryland. Now, David used to be the writer in our gardening section, amazing,
Okay.
amazing designer and also amazing plantsman who's got a beautiful garden. Well, I said, well, what do you mean? What are we up to? And they said, well, we've had an inquiry from the Washington Post. I said, what do you mean? The Washington
Wow.
Post? And they said, you're doing something on social media and it's getting so much attention, which it was, um, that they're about to run an article saying, go to your local florist in America before Mother's Day was due to happen in America. I said,
Wow.
you're joking. And they said, no. Well, I'm just trying to help some florists. So, and that's how it went on. And then the next thing that happened was I got a phone call from one of the florists that we posted a photograph of his bouquet. And it was, it was just a bouquet. That was it. There was nothing. It was a lovely bouquet, but it was just a
Yeah.
bouquet. And he phoned and said, I'm just phoning to say thank you. And I said, oh, you're welcome. What for? And he said, for posting my picture. I said, oh, we did that with anyone, so long as it was reasonably nice.
Yeah.
Because we have a bit of a reputation for that. So he said, well, you turned my business around. And I said, what do you mean we've turned your business around? He said, because of that bouquet. I said, what? And he said he'd been in business for 31 years and he'd never, ever taken as much money as he'd taken that week to Mother's Day. And I said, but you can't say that's due to the Fusion Flowers competition. How can you say that? He said, because they're all asking for the same bouquet, Alison. You're joking. And he said, we've been to our wholesaler 2, 3, 4 times a day to top up on those flowers. And he said, it's got to the point now where we can't get any more. And so I said,
Wow.
so has anybody else phoned you for the bouquet? He said, yeah. I said, what did you do? He said, well, I said to him, look, we've sold out of these flowers. I'm really sorry we can't do this. He was very honest with the woman.
Yeah.
And she said, but can you get more of them next week? Because I really like that bouquet. And he said, well, yeah, I can get them next week. She said, then I'll place my order with you.
Oh.
How can you can't plan for that. That was just phenomenal. So from that stage on, we knew that the people watching weren't just florists or floral designers. This was a big public. So by that time, I think in combination of the 5 pages, we had over 500,000 likes, but we also at one stage had 1.2 million following what was going on.
Unbelievable.
And that was the start of turning things around. It's how you. So from there, we started the competitions, and what's interesting is a lot of the people who've competed have been recognized by other organizations, yourself included.
Yeah.
and they found work that they wouldn't have had the chance to do before.
Yeah.
I've had people with tears on the phone to say, I sent you the picture of my mother's work. She's competing against 2 other florists who've opened up in her town, and she's really struggling, but she likes to do different things. And I said, and she was one of the winners. And I said, look, this is what to do, because I'm media. So I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to do now to get more business to come to your show.
Yeah.
So she sent me this amazing arrangement up here, which was very, very kind of her. We don't expect that, but it's been a bit of an honor in many respects.
Yeah, but also I think also for the people in the competition, and the competition is something you're going to continue as well, right?
Yeah, that'll go on, because we've got some. Previously, what we did was we published all the winning designs in the magazine, and that was enough for people. In some cases, we got them some work in places, strange places like a place called the Netherlands and things like that. So that was quite good. But now I've been in touch with some. Oh yeah, there's my darling. Yeah, Connie van der Westerleken. There's a good case in point.
Yeah.
Connie is just, hi Willie. Connie van der Westerleken. I'm faster than you. Connie was a hidden wee talent. She just needed a bit of nurturing, and
Yeah.
she did an article somewhere, and her tribute to me personally was very sweet. But you can't invent talent. It's either there or it's not. And this young woman has a unique vision. Now here we go. Hello, Herta. This is me trying to say a Dutchy name.
Yeah.
Herta.
It's
Is
not
that good?
No, it's not a Dutch name. So it's from Friesland. It's not even a Dutch name.
She just shakes her head every time I try to put. She's killing herself laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah, another unique talent that's obviously involved with Flower Circus.
Yeah.
And a beautiful girl, beautiful person.
I mean, it's sometimes just the great designers like Connie, like Geertje, and many, many others, of course. They just need to have the stage and the confidence as well to get going and be even more creative than they already are, just with the confidence.
I think if I've come from in my own professional life, I've had to fight the odds from day one, whatever I've done. And I was saying to you earlier, when everything was going haywire between us today, was it not, darling? I said, there's something about my character. I'm not very good about people complimenting me, because I always think, do they really mean that? But if I'm having to fight for something, that's when I get a lot more energy going, or if I'm trying to
Yeah.
help someone, it's trying to, so through this, I've mentored, I think the last time we counted, it was just under 200 florists worldwide. Just not living on their shoulders, because I can't do that, but it's to just maybe say, well, if you try this or if you go that way, there's another way of doing it. So at the moment, some of the editors of magazines are still going, have agreed for me to send them this material from our competitions, and they'll publish them now.
Okay, that's really
And we
good.
have an ultimate. It's just to keep the momentum going because I don't want to let people down. And the other thing is, we have a special surprise. It will not be announced until the end of the year, but it's based on every competition. We're looking for new talent again for a very special project. So it's quite exciting, but we're not telling anyone what it is.
No,
I've learned to keep secrets.
the working name of
You
that
know what?
the working name of that product is called Kippen Got Talent.
Kevin's got talent. Oh God. So it's been, I think one of the, you were asking me what the highlights were and what were the most memorable designs. And one of the people, well, a couple of people that come to mind would be Agneta von Einem from Denmark. Agneta had been wanting to be in fusion flowers for a very long time, and Jens Poulsen from Blomster magazine invited me because professional floristry journalists tend to be quite friendly, which is unusual in journalism. The editors tend to be quite closely connected because I don't see myself in competition with anyone else. Because we're so different, or we were so different, should I say. So Jens was having an event, and so off we trotted up to Copenhagen. And Annetta came on stage, and I have a theatrical background, and a lot of my own demonstrations were the biggest audience, or biggest theatre, should I say, where I was on stage with 4 other designers, but primarily it was Gregor and I, was for 4,800. So I'm used to working big scale, but I'm used to connecting to audiences. And that girl took the stage like a real pro. She knew what she was doing, and she nailed it. She nailed it with her photographer. She nailed it with how she used her material. And she went on to do a series of front covers for us. And during which, through my connection with Singapore, because you had Keith on, my darling Keithy, who's super talented. Well, Keith was my assistant when I was out there to begin with. And Yetta went out to compete at the Singapore Garden Festival. And a lot of people, and my recommendation, I have to say, a lot of people thought because she usually works very small, she's weddings, that kind of thing. How would it translate onto the bigger stage? When she took a gold in Best in Show, same thing happens with Bjorn Kroner, who's another darling. He got another gold out there, and to get a gold at Singapore is very hard, very, very hard. But I ended up there because of fusion flowers and having breakfast with a very nice person at the Botanical Gardens, Singapore. And then before I know it, I'm the chief judge at the Singapore Garden Festival. And that's like all those years ago.
Yeah.
Which is where I discovered more talent.
That's actually something that's coming back all the time. You and your team eating everywhere as well, and having meetings and eating there, and and a little bit of drinking maybe as well involved, because you need to drink as well.
You shampoo everywhere, yeah, absolutely.
But I really love how you talk about the designers, Alison. But what you achieved with the whole magazine, that's something incredible. I mean, you're talking about prize winners of designers, but I've got the list here of what you won with the magazine. It's quite a long list.
Yeah, oh God, that is a good story actually. There's an organization called PPA, which is a Professional Publishers Association, I don't know how this woman discovered fusion at all, but she kept saying you should join PPA, and I'm why? You're serious people, you know. And yeah, Jimmy saying, "Oh,
Yeah.
true." And anyway, she came out, and I said, "Look, you know, we've got a long-term plan for the way fusion works. I'm not at the stage where you think we're doing really well and you love the magazine. Thank you, but that's not where I'm aiming for. You know, we have a 3-year plan that's been developed with Steve, who, by the way, it was such a good party, he doesn't remember having the conversation. So anyhow, I then agreed to sign up. I honestly didn't know what we were doing involved in this, John. I really didn't. Because these are serious public. I mean, the Washington Post is a member, but then so is Vogue.
Yeah.
You know, so is Hello Magazine. So it's, you know, it's what in the name of pink fish is Fusion Flowers doing in this? So she said every year there was a competition. She wanted us to enter, and I said, no, you're on drugs. There's no way. You know, people don't take floristry, floral design, gardening even.
Yeah.
They never win prizes. She said, please will you enter? And there's a lot of work in entering competitions like that goes on behind the scenes. And you had to write God knows what, and you had to produce various issues and send them in. And so we go to the big bash, it's a big party. If you can imagine journalists, you think that the growers can drink or designers can drink. Nothing. You actually you hang out with journalists, believe you me, they can drink. Oh my word. So we had gone in, and if I use the term pecking order, do you know what that means?
No, but you're gonna explain us now.
Okay, pecking order, back to chickens. Pecking order is you can tell how people think of you as to where you're placed in a room.
Yeah.
Now our table, which was very narrow, that had obviously been squeezed in, was at the back wall beside the sound system. So it was pretty obvious that we were not hanging out with Vogue or anybody else. We were right up the back. And we met this guy who'd said to us, oh, did you get a letter? And I said, what kind of letter? He said, to tell you had to come. I said, no. Oh, he said, oh, I'm sorry. That means you haven't won. I said, oh, okay. So Dennis lines up the shampoo, because if you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound, and we were overnight. And we even ended up in a room with a butler. That's another story. I always shampoo again. So then there was X numbers of bottles of shampoo on this table, and we were working our way through them quite happily. And then it gets to our section, and I was taking notes. I'm a great one for taking notes. So I was listening to the chief judges saying why people had won,
Yeah.
what set them apart from the others. I was taking notes all the time. And it came to our section, and they said this, and I'm still writing notes to find out why this person had won or publication. When the organizer came over and nudged me, now please appreciate that several shampoos had gone down at this point. So she taps me on the back, Alison, you've won. And I said, no, it's okay, I'm just taking notes, it's fine. And she said, no, it's won. And I said, no, I know we've not, we haven't had the letter, we know we haven't won. She said, will you look at the damn screen? Because, you know, these things have these big screens up. And here was the front cover of Fusion Flowers. And by this time, the whole place was like a rabble because they were so drunk. And for a small publishing house, you know, to people that are huge, it's, oh God, no, there we are. Dennis had sobered up that year, so that was okay. So anyway, and I had to walk from the back of this room right to the front, and I got a standing ovation from the journalists that were in. And when I got up there, I was in shock. And I said, "Are you sure?" It's us. He said, "Yeah." And he said, "This really means something to you." And I said, "It means more than something just to me. This means something for the entire flower industry. You don't understand." He said, "This is really reassuring to see." He said, "This kind of thing, because people just, they're so blasé." He said, "But you're not blasé about this." I said, "Oh no, this is
huge.
huge."
Yeah.
And the chief judge came over and spoke to me, and she was the editor-in-chief of Hello magazine. And some of the other judges came over and said, one of the things I can still remember him saying to me was, not the girl from Hello, he said, "I've never been interested in flowers, Alison." I said, "Okay, here we go." "Yeah." He said, "I'm not interested in floristry." I said, "Okay." He said, "But then this is not floristry." And I said, "Why did you say that?" He said, "This is floral architecture. It's opened a whole new world to me." Well, that was an amazing comment to make.
Yeah.
So the next time I was at the international press call for Flower Council of Holland at the old Horty Fair. Remember Horty Fair?
Yeah.
Or is
I'm
it
also also older.
He's older than he looks, darlings. Um,
It's
and
the
I go
head
in
that does it.
I go into the dinner, and the next thing is the floristry journalist stood up there and applauded, and they said, "You've broken new ground for us," and that was very humbling. But we won it, yeah, 5 times. In the end, I decided enough, because it's so much hard work, and we'd done it, and it was time to move on to something different.
Yeah, and all the
Don't
prices that doesn't fit on the screen anymore, so we had to otherwise we had to tilt the screen. So it was good to stop with that.
What the ones that I'm like astounded by were like runner up to the best front cover. I mean, my God, the best front cover, and they've got models that are like,
Yeah,
and I've been trying to convince the florists who were in Fusion to take their own pictures, to learn how a camera looks at their flowers, to understand more, so that if someone else is taking your picture, you can go up and give them input on that. So, wow, yeah.
yeah. Keith had a great story about it during the Flower Circus talks, talking about how a design looks through a camera.
He used to work with a good judge, So he wasn't going to do floristry at all until he got hugged to pieces, because he was always cold, because the air conditioning in Singapore is like Baltic. I've had judges on the panel come down with, chills afterwards. So I always arrive with various pashminas. So I had Keith wrapped up in a pashmina. So he was all, because he's a little person. He's so cute. But Singapore's where I discovered another person. We were having dinner, oh no, lunch with this group. And there was one man sitting at the group. The rest were all women. It was all very, all this stuff. And I'm looking, saying, we've got another show to judge. Could we get through this pretty quickly? But no, we couldn't get through lunch quickly. No, no, no. And I was talking to the young man. He was very shy, very reticent, all good. We eventually, Yoni and I managed to get away. We rushed down, we do our judging, and we judged 130 designs in less than an hour.
Wow, that's production work.
Yoni has worked out how many seconds we have. This I didn't need to know beforehand. Anyway, in we went. And on the way out, I noticed this piece of work up in the wall, where they had a little booth thing. And I said, oh, excuse me, who did this? And the lady said, oh, it's not in a competition. You don't need to worry about that. I said, yeah, I wasn't asking if it was in a competition. I'd just like to know, please, who did this piece of work? And they said, oh, you don't need to know that because it's doing it. I said, so who did the piece of work? And eventually she said, well, you had lunch with them. I said, who? And she said, well, this young man. I said, Harianto. She said, yeah. I said, can you get him for me, please? So Harianto comes up. I said, you did this piece of work? He said, yeah. I said, you need to compete at the Singapore Garden Festival. I'm coming back in 2 years and I expect to see your work representing the Singapore florists. You need to have that work done. Um, what happened next is history. It's the only time Singapore ever won Best in Show and Gold Award. It was one of the most groundbreaking pieces of work that the three judges, myself, Yoni Sepinen, and Kazamaza Kupo, had ever seen. It was, I had tears coming down my face. To see that, to see someone move forward like that, it was ahead of its time. And what's interesting is, all those years ago, those colours are now what's being used to promote flowers.
Unbelievable.
Those colours are the dyes that people are using. All those Arianto's on, oh darling, hello baby, he's on. Harry was ahead of the pack, and that's been a joy. It's actually, and to see him grow, he's now interestingly reverted back to doing, oh, oh, darling, thank you, Wendy. That is so sweet.
Yeah, we're helping
Pay
out people on the
attention to
road
the
as
road,
well.
darling.
Yeah.
Please pay attention to the road. Don't go off the road. And to my way of thinking, he's now doing this thing called Haribana. So he's gone the opposite way. He's down to minimalism, which of course is what Mark Pampling is all about.
Yeah.
Is each flower counts and each piece of foliage counts. Whereas before that, he was the king of bling. No wrong with that if you do it well.
No, but it's also really nice to see it changing. I mean, in music, you see artists changing as well. So, I mean, the designers should change as well. I mean, with new styles, new things they discover. It's not a one trick thing. It shouldn't be a one trick thing.
It's interesting because I'm often asked what makes someone successful. Sometimes you'll find a designer who has something that they can specialize in, that is it's in their heart or it's in their soul. And when they do that, you can tell that they're happy. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they you can see what they've done is what they love to do. Um, you can see that very clearly. And I've sometimes had to say to designers, look, instead of focusing where you think you're going, actually where your strength lies is in something different. And they've taken that, they've lifted that if they've got a bit of common sense, and they've developed, and some of them now have produced books on the subjects because they hadn't realized that they were able to do different. There's a lot of copying and there's a lot of jealousy, and that frankly to me is very boring.
Yeah.
Because it takes a lot of energy and it gets you nowhere. um, Someone asked me if I knew, do you think you know it all? I said, no, because nobody knows it all. No one knows what's around the next corner.
Yeah.
Actually, my grandmother would have said, thank God we don't know what's around the next corner. But in terms of where we are sitting just now, post-COVID, that's why we're doing this other program, is to say to people, if you are trapped in this tiny vision of what floristry is or what floral design is, you're not going to survive, because you have to open yourself to look at sometimes other disciplines and other
Yeah.
ways of doing things. And you can tell if somebody's been doing the same design year on year pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Because their heart's not in it. You can see somebody. You had young Max Hartod on from Belgium.
Yeah.
And when I first encountered him, I called him Baby Max because we were working with Max van der Sluis at the same time. And, he was
Yeah.
Daddy Max and this was Baby Max.
It
And
was Mini and Maxi.
exactly. So when I watched him on Flower Circus, you could tell he finds it difficult when he's really serious about something. He can't relax,
Yeah.
And there's a discipline that you have to learn as a demonstrator or a communicator as to how to. It's something I was discussing with some of the designers. There's almost an opening to teach people how to connect with other people from the stage.
Yeah.
How to engage people, because florists tend to be a tough audience.
Yep. Really. And I think
You should.
with yeah, and with Max, I mean, doing the online shows is really difficult because you're talking to a camera while working, and you don't get the direct reactions from florists in a room, which is also already difficult. But just standing in front of a camera makes it even more difficult. Let's put it that way. And I think Max for this first time did a really great job.
He did. He did.
Yeah,
But he was allowed. See, he wasn't distracted by. So that was better for him because he wasn't distracted by the audience. And there's been times where I've leapt on stages hugging people. It's not. I'm known as the mama bear for a really good reason. There's two reasons. One is I hug a lot, which you know.
yeah,
We only actually the first time we actually met was at IPMS, and wasn't it?
it was. Yeah,
And I remember saying to the other John of Big Nose, um, I want to meet this John. I said, because I've got a lot of time for what you're doing. I have a lot of time for it. That's a compliment, whether you understand that or not.
yeah,
In
I
Scottish,
understand. But I'm like you. It's difficult to get a compliment.
well, no, I can compliment you. Oh, no, I won't go there else and behave yourself. So it's just that.
Now you have to say hello to Tineke as well.
How, Tineke, how's my darling? Oh, Tineke Vrekenay, yeah. There was another one when I met her brother. Yeah. See, part of the problem with florists and growers is they're isolationists. Florists work in their shop and often behind a counter or even in the back shop. Growers work in a greenhouse and,
Yeah,
don't communicate all that well, you know. And I remember meeting Yap the first time, and I listened to the litany of what his week was, what he did.
yeah,
And I said, because on his day off, he went to church and then they had family lunch and then he was back working again. I said, have you ever thought of getting a life? Is there something we can do for you? And he said, whoa, which is really nice. Seriously, you need to get a life. I said, do we need to start a dating agency for growers? What is going on here? So he ends up on The Farmer Gets a Wife, doesn't he, on
yeah,
Dutch TV? And that didn't work out, but he is now with a lovely lady, we're delighted to say. But all of his heart and his soul goes into production of his Bouvardia, which are absolutely exquisite. The same is with, good florists. I'm
yeah,
using that term deliberately. Good florists put their heart and soul into it. What they're having to deal with on the front line of communication just now with the general public can be borderline horrific. They're having a really hard time, and I feel for that. So if fusion flowers can distract them a bit, that's why we're continuing. Well, one of the reasons for continuing with the Facebook competitions is to give people a chance. I've already spotted over the last 2 or 3 competitions 4 people with genuine potential, in my opinion. So I'm going to watch them.
Yeah, I think
if we can help.
you said a great thing there. A good florist does a good job, but a great florist will look further, like a great grower as well. You can make the best flowers you think you can make in your greenhouse, but how does a florist react on it? Does he want that great flower? Does he just wants it in a little bit of a different way? I mean, just opening up to each other, talking to each other, and share each other's passion. I mean, everybody has the passion for flowers, so it's quite easy to talk to each other as well, because within a few seconds you will have that connection.
Well, there's a lovely florist who tragically has gone through a terrible time in her life, in her personal life, and because I do floral fundamentals as well, and the support that she got from other designers was awe-inspiring, actually, unexpected and wonderful, beautiful. But she made a comment, and that stuck with me. She said, when she thinks of flowers now, she doesn't just think of flowers. This is a huge step forward in my book. She now thinks of Yap for the Bouvardia, Walter for Phalaenopsis, Stefan for roses, John
Yeah.
Mayer for roses. She has identified a person worth the flowers. That's huge. And in turn, the growers have now identified designers, so likes of Wouter from Beyond Chrysant. Well, he saw a piece that Steinara did, because Steinara loves spray chrysanthemums. He likes, how can I put this? He likes flowers that maybe are not given the credit that they're due.
Yeah.
So he's happy to work with a spray carnation. He's happy to work with a spray. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he did this beautiful design with chrysanthemum. And I saw Wouter's reaction to the design. And Wouter lost his uncle. He died. And
who was in the company as well.
Correct. It's all family, isn't it? And he took a photograph of that design to a Dutch florist saying, please, he wanted that design as best they could recreate it, because that design meant so much to him as a grower. But heck, if you can break down that barrier,
I mean,
I just, sometimes when I look back, I think when I had to fight for everything I've done in terms of flower design. Sue's the same. Sue and I we call each other sisters. Sometimes she finishes sentences for me. In later life, this might be useful. I don't know.
Normally, it's the wife that finishes the sentences of her husband, but.
And we've both had all piles of manure thrown at us over the years. It's fine. But actually, the joy we have is giving people the chances that we never had. We never had those chances. And to give the next generation the chance to move forward has been a joy for me. It's been a joy. Giving a florist a deadline for a script. So someone said to me, why do you use Mark Pampling so much? I said, he never misses a deadline. Never misses a deadline. You give him a deadline, Mark's there. More than that, he'll send in 6 designs and 6 pieces of text. So you have something, what I would call in the floral bank. So if somebody goes wrong or the design's not good enough, you can slot in Mark's pieces.
Yeah.
So we're always, So it's kind of, it's been a hell of a ride. 20, you can believe 20 years. Gee whiz, it's just.
Yeah, but 20 years giving so many people the opportunities you didn't have. I mean, that's great to give them the stage and working on that. Sometimes even day and night and even your mother died, and the day after you were going for the headline for the deadline. I mean, those things that going behind the scenes. Oh wait, somebody wants to dance
No,
already. Yeah.
don't.
uh, but all those things, yeah, behind the scenes going on, and it's not easy to make a magazine. I mean, it's unbelievable, and you did it for 20 years, and with a great team, with your husband, with Sue. I'll probably forget some people as well. I wrote them down. Stuart,
Ali,
Rona,
yes, yeah,
Elizabeth, and
Ali.
Ali. Yep. So
Actually, your John Windows, has met Ali, and it was a marriage made in heaven.
only a bit too late.
He exactly. He adores Ali, and Ali adores him because they're both completely insane.
Yeah, I've got. I
But
found a
they
picture
both have.
here.
Oh my God! There's Ali. Ali will produce outfits for every occasion. That was one of the other things we had to do when Ali joined the team. Um, we should do Fusion Flowers Christmas cards. This was us at WAFA in Ireland, and she shows up with all this gear. And I'm like, oh God, is this going to go down okay in Ireland? Are they going to think we're just being rude or what? And in the end, people were fighting over getting one of the hats, because they wanted to wear these. Anyway, we sold out in Ireland. It's absolutely fine. We tended to sell out wherever we went. But it's just, John, it's just amazing. Because I remember the first time I went out to demonstrate, and I was going to New Zealand for the first time. And I remember turning to Dennis and saying, what the hell am I going to talk about? Because I went with a knife and a pair of secateurs. That's all I had.
Yeah.
I had to do 2 dems with 1,500 people per gig, right? And he said, well, Alison, flowers? And that's what connects people all
Yeah.
around the world. You were saying that people love flowers. It's true. And if you can break down the barriers and letting people know that, it's that you're being honest with them. I think that's been quite difficult for people to. There he is, my little snowdrop. He is. If you get a chance, for any of the people who are watching, I actually posted it on my Facebook page. Fairly recently, was going on to YouTube to watch the Floral Kaleidoscope, which is the piece that won him Best in Show.
Yeah.
It still, all these years later, holds good. That's a test of a great designer as well. Does
Yeah.
it still hold good? And that's when and that's a bigger challenge for a designer, because if you've hit the peak, where do you go next?
I think
How
you
can you
change your style
can you?
because you can't get higher
Yeah,
on that one.
I don't think so, and you're right. But it's having the courage and determination to do that. Says a lot about the person. We've been inundated with emails here that just, oh my God. I got one from a person who has a sheep farm in the middle of Australia, telling me what fusion has meant to her. Wow. Can you imagine? It's just so humbling
Yeah.
to have that. When we changed to digital because of all this postal problems and the spiraling costs of, Royal Mail increased the cost of postage 5 times in 1 year to magazine distributors, and then we discovered, for example, South Africa, that we were getting the magazines to them, but they were either stockpiling or destroying them because of the COVID thing. but nobody in the country told the residents that that's what was happening. So Dennis had phoned someone to see if he could get someone to deliver magazines out. And it was going to cost us £76. You're good at this. You're better than me at converting pounds to euros.
100 euros.
For 2 magazines to post.
I mean, you can hire the runner there.
Oh my! I was almost prepared to deliver it myself. You know, I mean, my God,
Yeah.
you can't. And because we were a subscription only magazine, you know. There's another really funny story if I can share that with you, because as usual we've gone over your hour, John, and I know how you like to finish on an hour, because what not everyone knows is that when this hour finishes, Mr. John goes to his fridge and pulls out something very, very tasty. Oh, he's already pulled it out. That's my boy. Well, I've got myself knocked out now. What was I going to tell you about? It's gone.
Okay, you wanted to deliver the magazines yourself. No, yeah, and you had an even better story. So that's what you said. But it's such a good story, you already forgot.
I know, because there's so many. I can't cope with it all. It's just so terrible. But yeah. Oh yeah, that was it. Way to go, Jimsy. Actually, Jimmy, the first time I met Jimmy after inviting him to the Netherlands from seeing his work on competition, and we had to fly out and leave them at a restaurant. And he came rushing out. I'm telling the story. Oh, Jimmy, I'm sorry. I'm telling a story about you, darling. And he came rushing out and just shouting, Alison and Alison. And he just started to cry. And I said, why are you crying? And he said, because I've never met anyone like you before. And I said, well, you should be down on your knees and saying, thank you, God, that you don't want to meet anybody else like me. And he said, no. He said, but all this support for designers, he said, you know, I come from a background where he hadn't been having any support. I said, you know, it's if we can do that little bit of help, that's fine. But the story I was going to tell you about was that obviously back copies were selling on not social media. What's the name of the online thing where you bid for things? What do you call it?
Where you bid for things?
Come on, John. Bid for eBay.
eBay.
People were buying back copies of Fusion on eBay, especially the ones that were out of print.
Yeah.
And this reader came on to me and said, because she'd asked for back copies, and I said, I'm really, really sorry, because they tend to sell out. So she said, it's okay, I've got all the back copies now, Alice. And I said, oh, great, where'd you get them? She said, I got them on eBay. I said, good for you. Can I ask you how much you paid for them, just as a matter of interest? And she said, a figure. And I said, oh, darling, you put the decimal point in the wrong place, because you're from America, and you know, no, that's not the price. And she said yes, and she had paid £350 for 2 years of back issues of Fusion Flowers. They would have cost her at that time for a subscription, like say £20 for a year. And I said, you're kidding me? She said no. And we get stories like, especially the ones on limited the collector's items. I mean, it's just crazy. So this lady in the Australian outback tells me she's sitting on a fortune.
Yeah, especially now.
Oh my God. So it's just been hugely challenging. The main reason we're stopping is that Dennis has got some health issues.
Yeah.
And one of them means he can't stand for any length of time. Dennis has been our main photographer from day one, and he's actually a landscape photographer. And the last thing he wanted to do is to take photographs of flowers. So it took quite a learning curve. But he now can't stand for any length of time. And so we need to take, oh, bless Lee. What a kind thing to say. Thank you, Lee. It's just that sometimes it was really hard when Mum was dying because she was rushed into a hospital, and
Yeah.
so I had to leave her bedside and then come back and try and get a little bit of sleep and then finish off some fusion, to have then a phone call to say you have to come back in, because actually by the time we got there, we'd lost Mum. Sue told me an amazing thing about 6 months later, and she said, Alison, although you completed it, I could tell in your writing that you were still in grief. I thought I was still producing the goods, and Sue knows me so well. She could tell. She said, "It's still funny in bits. It's don't worry about that." She said, "But I can see a darkness in you." And I said, "Well, what I'm holding on to is how proud Mum was of what we managed to achieve." So, but every florist and every grower I know has had to go through that process too, where they've maybe had to go into the shop and do the flowers for their own parents' funerals, or worse, their own children.
Yeah.
The growers, the same thing, and we've lost people through COVID, as you know, some of whom I was lucky enough to call friend, and some who are still fighting to recover. And it's so hard to keep going. But my answer to them is always the same, come in. Somebody knocking in your wall, baby.
It's the neighbor who asks when are we going to start to drink.
Oh, right, new friends. I love it.
Yeah.
If you do something with love, it will show, and that always counts. Always counts.
Yeah. I think Caroline says it well. It's important to make some time for you as well, for you and then for Dennis. And I mean, that's. I mean, you're saying that yeah, you made Mom proud and everybody proud. But I think I can't speak for all the designers all over the world, of course. But what you did with your team, with Fusion Flower, had an enormous impact on the whole flower industry worldwide. Coming up with new designs, coming up with new designers, inspiring. I don't know how many million of designers worldwide. Not only the ones who had the opportunity to write you now, but I think when you will meet the people in person, you will really see how much of an impact you made with the magazine. And I mean, it's so great that you did. And unfortunately, yeah, we can't tell it in person, but it's unbelievable. I mean, I can do this. It's not even the same as a real hug, but. No,
Hypocrisy. Thank you.
no, you really did an amazing job, Alison, and you will keep on doing it as well, for sure. I mean, you can't be without your floral family, and you will keep continue with everything, with floral fundamentals, of course, and with the competitions. So luckily, you will be around, and we can hug soon. And I mean, that's the most important thing. And a big thank you from everybody in the floral industry.
Thank you, John. And
Yeah,
John, don't don't underestimate yourself and how you're connecting with people, because maybe one day you'll be sitting on the reverse and somebody will be interviewing you. So that's something to hold on to for yourself as well.
thank you very much. But I mean, there are big shoes to fill for anybody in the floral industry to do the same what you did.
Thank you.
Okay.
Best wishes to Caroline. Here you go. Ah, Alison will be the same.
Yeah.
Well, Carrie, can I just send a message to her, Carrie? Carrie knows I've been literally pining to get to the. Oh, David, thank you. She knows how I've been pining to get to the sea. Oh, Tinnick, don't now. Here we go. This is going to be tricky.
You'll read them
Oh,
later.
I will. Let me read it later. But what I will say is just you never know who you're affecting. You never know the impact you're having until maybe years later. You never know. Carrie knows I'm hankering to get to the sea because I love the sea. I've still not made it. But if any of you would like to send a bit of ocean to me, feel free to do it. But in the meantime, John, I don't know when we will meet again, but when we do, let's have some shampoo.
Let's do so.
That's my boy.
Yeah. Alison, thank you so much, and for everything. Through you, yeah, everybody learned a lot, inspired a lot, and of course, we will keep in contact. And when we meet, we will be hugging. So excuse me for all the people around us, but that will take at least 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. I am very fat. You have to get around the whole body.
You know, don't underestimate me. I mean, it's the corset that's keeping me, me slim.
You're on your own. Push your own grass button.
Okay, everybody, thank you very much, Alison, for your time and all what you did for us. And thank you, everybody, for watching. And stay safe and hope to see you soon.